This is the Marvel Legends series from Avengers Endgame, the Iron Man Mark 85 from the Thor Build-A-Figure wave, or the Fat Thor Build-A-Figure wave of Marvel Legends figures. It just says Thor, but we all know you're going to build him, the Endgame Thor, and here's the rest of the assortment. I didn't bother picking up the other figures because in this particular wave, I was only really interested in the Mark 85. And the others, I don't know, maybe I will. Maybe that War Machine, maybe Vision, I don't know, but to me, even the Build-A-Figure, I wasn't too interested with this one. It's really this one that I really was looking forward to. So let's get him out of packaging. And here is the Mark 85 out of packaging, and I have him posed with Pepper Potts rescue in that epic scene in Endgame. And he looks really, really good. I'm really, really pleased with this figure. I really like it. All right, let's get Pepper out. Okay, so the figure comes with a bunch of accessories. He's got all 4 blast effects. It's the same one we've had for the longest time. I'm not going to talk about it too much. They've just done it in this really nice pearlesque, sort of aquamarine type of green. I like it. This is probably one of my favorites. Like hot blue flame blast, okay? Here's the figure. Great sculpt. I'm really liking it. Look at that. Fantastic head sculpt. And great chest, torso sculpt. You got the arms, the legs. Very nice. No frozen joints. I got lucky with this figure. Nothing frozen or stuck with the paint apps. The thigh swivels were a little bit stuck in the beginning, but it was easy to pry off. So very cool. He also comes with an extra pair of hands, the clenched fist hands, which is part of the Iron Man figures that we've gotten longest time. And what's really interesting about this figure is they've brought back that hinge on that open splayed hands, which is really cool. They're not insulting us with this figure anymore, instead of just the usual pose like that. Of course, you got to have the arms in this position as well. So very cool. Thank you, Hasbro, for listening to the fans. So I love the color combination. I think the figure turned out absolutely great. If at all, if I'm going to nitpick, it would have been nice if he had that all the infinity stones repainted in an alternate hand that you could slap on, like remove the bicep and slap it on like that, and the hand would be in like a snapping pose, and I am Iron Man. And of course, it would have been really great if we had an unmasked head sculpt. Tony Stark, the bloodied, bruised, that would have been really nice. You could easily pose this, which, you know what, I'm sure Hasbro is going to do somewhere down the line. They're going to recycle the heck out of this mold. It's a really awesome mold. I'm pretty sure they're going to recycle the heck out of it and to give us a better version with that hand, with that infinity gauntlet hand and that head sculpt. We'll see. I'm hoping for the best, but as it is, what we have right now is an absolutely wonderful rendition of the Mark 85. I'm really pleased with it. Okay, let's talk about articulation first before we go into the paint apps, because paint apps a little bit, I'm going to talk about a lot of it. So head sculpt is on a ball joint that is on a hinge, so the hinge goes up and down. So there's a ball joint right there. Ball jointed upper torso, ball hinge shoulders, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows go all the way up there, ball hinge wrists for both sets of hands. They go in and out, especially this one. This one's perfect. Ball jointed hips, thigh swivel, as I mentioned, double jointed knees, no calf swivel, ball hinge ankles with the rocker joints. Ooh, the hinge joints on the ankles were a little bit tight when I got him out of packaging, so just be careful with that. I had to snap them out for some reason. And then rocker tilt. Okay, let's talk about paint apps now. This is not short pack. This figure, along with the America's ass Captain America, is packed super case. And one thing you will notice first is the paint applications, paint apps on the figure. Overall, it looks great. There's hardly anything to complain about. But if you're going to nitpick, first thing you're going to see is the chest. Now, the chest is actually printed on. I don't think it's hand painted. It looks like it's been printed on so that there's that grading, that there's a darker part here and all that. Now, the only thing to look out for that is there are some figures that are missing a bit of white. Like there's like a red dot right there or here, so just make sure that the white is evenly printed on. But other than that, the white paint doesn't bleed anywhere because it's printed on by a computer, so that's nice. Next thing you will notice is the chest area. This is supposed to be the glossy plastic with a little bit of flake on it. It's not painted or anything. The paint is the silver and the gold and whatnot, but the consistency should be along the lines of the abdomen. And if you look closely, the abdomen is really shiny and all that, and the chest part, it's shiny and glossy enough as it is, but on this side I've seen a couple of figures that have blemishes. Even this one, there's a little bit of a blemish going on. But that's just nitpicking. But some have really like a big cloud right here. It's a part like that was not buffed or something like that. It feels like that, so just be wary of that. And everything else, like the gray, the silver, where it should be silver or gold, amazingly they're all painted spot on. Hardly any quality control issues in that. There'll be a little bit of some inconsistencies here and there with the silver, but that's very little. They're very forgivable. On the gold paint apps, it's a little bit of blemish right here on the thigh, but everything else looks great. And finally, onto the head sculpt. The head sculpt, what you need to look out for is it's basically made of that red glossy plastic, and what you want to look out for is around here on the crest of his forehead. Sometimes the gold, there's not enough gold painted on it, and that the red is a little bit too big, or it's skewed. The gold paint is skewed a little bit to the left or to the right, giving way too much red on this side or on this side. So that's what you have to look out for. And lastly, the eyes. Make sure that the eyes, the white on the eyes, do not bleed anywhere. They're painted squarely on it. And right here, there's a little bit of inconsistency, as you can see right there. It should be all white out, but there's a little bit, they missed a spot right there. And this one's fine, so just be wary. I'm nitpicking. I mean, all of these are forgivable. They're very much acceptable, and yeah. So all in all, it's a great figure. Wonderfully done. All right, before I forget, the figure also comes with several bath pieces for the Fat Thor, the left hand and a left arm. And before I completely forget about it, he comes with a very important piece or accessory, and this is the Avengers gauntlet. With all the Infinity Stones they snatch from different parts of the timeline. And it's actually two pieces. You've got the forearm guard and an actual hand, a ball hinge articulated hand with the Infinity Stones. And what you're supposed to do is, if you have the Professor Hulk Build-A-Figure, you can remove one of his hands and you can attach this, which I don't have. I probably need to track a built figure. It's on sale in some hobby shops. I might just get one, but it's still going for about $52 to about $54. So I'm waiting for it to go to $40 or something like that. But this is what's that Infinity Gauntlet is for. It's a shame that nah, it's not gonna happen. And for comparisons, here he is with the Mark 50. And take nothing away from that Mark 50, but the Mark 85 to me is the superior armor. I really like it. And as you can see, the Mark 50 kind of reminds me of the Extremis armor. Even the way the faceplate has been sculpted and designed. This one kind of reminds me of Extremis. Whereas this one has more of the classic Iron Man look. with the gold limbs and the red forearms and boots and torso. So that's why I'm really liking this one over the Mark 50. And here he is with the Mark 7. Mark 7 is probably still my favorite Iron Man armor. I mean, this whole era of the Mark 3, the Mark 4, and Mark 7 type of armors, the very clunky, the very bulky type of armor that Tony built. To me, that really established and installed Iron Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I always have a soft spot for this armor, or at least this type of armor. And finally, here is the classic armor from the 80 years Marvel Legends comic series, Iron Man. And as you can see, as I've mentioned, the Mark 85 closely resembles the classic armor in terms of motif and stylized colors of gold and red, and that's why I like it more than the Mark 50. It harkens back that. It's a shame I don't have any of the extremis armor Marvel Legends Iron Man figures so we could compare it to this one, but as it is, if I'm going to rank all of these figures, well, excluding him because he's comic, this is still my favorite, followed by him, and him in third place. So yeah, but they all look great together. If you're a big Iron Man fan, this is going to look absolutely fabulous on your shelf. And so some final thoughts on this figure. The Iron Man Mark 85 is probably one of my favorite MCU Iron Man figures that Hasbro's ever done. My favorite is still the Mark 7, but this one is a very, very close second. I think Hasbro did a wonderful job on this one. The paint scheme looks great. The sculpt looks great. They brought back that wrist articulation for the open hand. And like I said earlier, the only thing really missing, only couple things really missing for this figure is an unmasked Tony Stark head sculpt that shows his injuries and battle damage and all that, and an alternate arm that has the Infinity Stones or the Infinity Gems. Infinity Stones would have been perfect for this one, and maybe a snapping hand like that. That would have, an alternate hand like that, alternate arm would have made this figure absolutely epic and perfect. But as it is, despite all of my reservations on the figure, I still think overall this figure deserves a 10 out of 10. I love it. I'm probably going to keep this more than the Mark 50. I'm going to probably let that Mark 50 go. But this is going to be my Iron Man. This is his last armor as Tony Stark, at least for now. And together with the Mark 7, those two are my favorite MCU Iron Man figures. So best of luck to everybody hunting this figure down. I don't think you'll have a hard time. He's packed 2 per case. I hope you've enjoyed this little video review. If you did, please let me know in the comment section what you think of this new Iron Man Mark 85 by Hasbro. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Click that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my latest video reviews. This has been the Marvel Legends series from the Thor or Fat Thor Build-A-Figure wave, the Avengers Endgame Iron Man Mark 85. Thanks for watching.